Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new free-to-play light Ramiris, the current free-to-play unit for the Summer Memories meta, as emphasized by her swimsuit, which is adorable, and then the whale orca mech that she's riding, which is definitely interesting, but whatever. Whatever she needs to get around. But she seems to be a fairly solid free-to-play option for a lot of players. Her kit is kind of used now by a few different people, at least for the primary skill. So there are other options, but she does bring a little bit extra spice. So she is physical, she is light, she's on Summer Memories, Hyper Heart, and Octagram Demon Lord. She is defense growth, so much higher defense, not meant to be a damaging unit, only a support unit in every single sense of the term. Her ult is an AoE physical, 290%, and then lowers guard power for 15% for 2 turns, which is really inconsequential in most forms of content. But her first skill is a charm, which is fine. So it's a 2-turn charm, which increases your ult gauge by 15% every time the enemy's turn ends for 2 turns, so you're going to get 30% extra ult gauge out of this when the skill runs its course, and then also buffs blue gauges by 10%. Now, we have a few units that charm already, right? We have the free-to-play Sufia, we have Shinsha, we've got the Xion, and charm was used during the Space 3.0 meta, which was the Valentine's Day, which ironically Ramiris led that category, or that meta, so she's come full circle with her charm. It was a very interesting aspect, but it really worked well because alongside, Sufia, Shinsha, and Xion's charms, which is, 15% each, and then we had Protector Ramiris giving you 45% for a couple turns, and that was massive, especially for units that didn't need EX ults at the time. So that, combined with multiple turns of having all these skill charms coming in, it made for a very interesting meta. Not a good meta, but an interesting meta, because no one really uses half those units anyways. So Charm is fine, they brought it back. We do now have Hinata, who needs the Charm to do extra damage with her Charm Strike. So Ramiris is important alongside the new Valentine. Her second skill is a special convert for blues, which we have more than a few units that can do that now, so it's nothing new, right? We have let's see, where is she? We have Darkness that does that, and they're literally back-to-back light physical units that have the same blue orb change skill. We've got, let's see, where is she? We've got Light Soka, so we have 3 light units that do the special convert for blue orb changing. Did we need a third one? No, definitely not. But did we get it? Yeah, so we kind of got to deal with it. Also, Frey, free-to-play Frey has that skill wherever she is down here. There she is. So there are options, right? We don't need Ramiris, but when you combine it with the Charm versus some of the other unit skills who are maybe not as good, because Frey is a skill giveaway, Soka's got a defense lower, an extension of a stun, Darkness has the taunt. They're very, very one-off kind of specific things. Ramiris probably has the most generalized kit of the triple or the special convert blues, and that's not a bad thing. That are at least free to play, right? Because there's also Trainee, there's also EX Hinata that has it as well. So it's definitely not bad, and you could put her on any blue-focused team, and you could use both skills to have good value versus putting like Frey on a team and really only being there for the orb change, or Darkness, who, if you don't want to taunt, you're just not going to taunt. So she can be used. So let's take a look at her inside the meta, and then as a support unit for other blue-focused teams. Also, before we begin, it's time to plug my sponsorship for Dubby, the energy drink powdered thingamabobber that I made a video on. If you want to support the channel and you want some powdered energy drink for your tasteful needs, I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm winging all these plugs. Link in the description, dubby.gg. Use my code IceColdJoker for 10% off. And yeah, eventually these plugs will get smoother and easier. But now let's actually go to the showcase. Alright, so we're going to take her and use the full Summer Memories team, because I swear to God, if they try and give us another unit, it won't even fit on the goddamn team. Trainee, Hinata, Valentine, Ramiris, Shizu, and Milim. Ramiris and Valentine will help activate the Charm Strike for Hinata, while also giving us a little bit extra ult gauge, because normally when we're on this team, it's only Milim who has the ult, because we're stealing all the orbs. No one ever has a chance to get anything out of that, so maybe with the extra few charms going on, we can get maybe another ult. I don't know, we'll find out, but at least we do have a turn 1 orb change, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so turn 1, we do have Ramiris to do the orb change, which is nice because that gives us a lot of protection gauge, gives us a decent amount of points back, but at the cost of lowering our damage potential by quite a bit, because now that we don't have Violet to give Milim the extra crit damage and the ult resistance down, I'm fairly certain that our damage will probably be cut in half as far as the nuke turn is concerned. So for the Valentine and the Hinata showcase, we were doing like around 800 to 950k, somewhere around there, and then with like the Guy and Rimuru and Violet, we did like the 1.2 million. Did I? Okay, I got 3 Shizus. Alright, fine. Just a butt ton of greens. And we did 1.2 million. So already the full meta does less ult damage, maybe a little bit more in normal orb damage, because of Valentine's blue orb buff, but we are missing a lot of DPS for the nuke. So, I don't expect to hit crazy wonderful numbers here. I expect to hit okay numbers. But what we can do is we can use this charm now, so we can start giving our blue orbs again some extra buffs, and we can start getting some extra charm effect going on as well. So let's use Trainee now, and we'll get 40 points back, and then we can steal with Hinata, and then we can bring in Milim. And what that means is that Milim will have all these orbs, most of them are nerfed, but everybody else on this front line will get that extra 15% ult gauge for 2 turns now that that charm is applied. 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, so you can see that we didn't quite get Milim's ult there, but once the charm kicks in after the enemy turn, we will actually get her ult, which is good in some cases and bad in some cases, because, you know, if you don't have Shizu to swap the ult for the blue orb, it can ruin your hands a little bit. Thankfully we do, but there's a little bit right there. And then because I want Hinata up here to try and get ults, we've used Ramiris' skills, so we can get her out of here. Let's go ahead and use the orb swap. Alright, awesome. We still have the charm going. We can put the double charm on, and then have 30% coming in on this turn, and then 15 for the next turn, because this one's about to wear off. And, yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll do this, actually. So we have enough points to then steal all these orbs. Now, do I want to, though? Do I want Hinata to have some actual ult gauge? It won't be a lot, but sure, we can probably do that. Because we can then steal Milim orbs next turn, and it'll be fine. We can pick and choose, because we're gonna get her EX ult. She is the primary nuker. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright. So we'll get extra 30% ult gauge now from these 2 charm effects. Now, one thing to note for people that have never used charm before is that if you try and apply the charm to the same character twice, it does not stack. It will cancel it out. So you have to charm 2 different units to get the double charm effect. Otherwise, it would just be like, if I were to try and charm Xion again, it would just be status and Amber, and one would be grayed out, because the new one would come in and it's got 2 turns left. So if you want to charm and get multiple 15% increases, you have to charm multiple different units. So let's go ahead and swap the orb again. Let's go ahead and steal all the orbs with Milim. We'll go ahead and apply all of this, actually. So we're going to yoink all those, so I don't think Hinata's going to get her ult now, unless we can somehow reapply the charm, which I don't think we have enough points for. We don't. Alright, well, that's unfortunate. But we will get at least something out of this. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is Inferno 1, by the way, not Inferno 3. Doing 50k right there. because we still have the blue orb damage going on. 105k is good normal damage. Okay, that's an interesting hand. And we're going to get an extra 15%, which will not cover Hinata's alt gauge. If we had 2 charms going on, maybe. Yeah, if we had 2 charms going on, we would have had 3 alts, actually. Oh well, it is what it is. So, let's go ahead and bring in Valentine then for... Oh, Shizu got sealed. That's unfortunate. Alright, well, we messed that up. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, we are back on turn 4, and we have a pretty good setup right now. So we have a full hand of blues, Milim has her EX ult, we've already used the alt swap ability. We have another trainee, which is interesting, because, especially with this team, we don't need to use, like, 2 80-point skills on the final turn. We only need to use Valentine's skill, right? That's 55 points right there. We've already used the Milim attack buff, the Hinata crit, and the weakness damage. So all of that is covered. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to swap Valentine in for, I guess, Hinata, because she has less alt gauge. And we're actually going to be able to charm another time once we use this trainee, because we only need 55 points on the final nuke turn, which we are definitely going to get. So let's go ahead and charm Ramiris. So then this will also give us the extra blue damage on the final turn. And then, yeah, all we need is 55, which we're definitely going to get on this turn right here. And another trainee, just for funsies, and we'll get the defense lower. 27, 63k on that hit. That is with the crit, with the weakness damage, with the attack and dark attack, and then the extra blue damage. So now we can safely nuke with both Milim and Shizu, and then the charm will come in and we almost get a Valentine ult, but not quite, which is unfortunate. But what that means is that, are we capped out? We need one more use, which also means that we can actually use the Milim Orb Steal here, and then use Trainee to give us those 2 last points we need to use her ult buff, which is now capped out at 100%. And then we'll get the darkness and fire resistance down. And then we can do full power. So we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see what Shizu will do on a single target nuke, not an EX, but then we'll send Milim, and we'll see how much damage she does now without Violet and without all those other debuffs coming. So 60k, 60k, 120k. Oh, unless they guard. That's unfortunate. Yeah, we'll watch Shizu's ult. She just looks too damn good. Refreshing Blue Flame. How much damage does she do? I actually don't know. 160. Alright, well that's not very good. And then we do 447, which actually is probably enough to wipe Inferno 1 and Inferno 2, because, their health had been lowered the entire time. So, okay, we did half the damage that we would normally do if we had Violet instead of Ramiris, but we were still able to kill. So that's a big part. And even on Inferno 3, with the amount of normal orb damage we were doing, we may have actually cleared Inferno 3 as well by using Ramiris. It would have been just enough and not, 1.2 million damage per hit, but maybe it would have been enough. So Ramiris definitely did her job of charming, I think, twice, and then also having that turn 1 orb change. So it's not like she wasn't useful here. She definitely provided stuff to the team to make it run. Except, once Trainee gets up and running, you need very little. So I think she is a good addition to this team, especially if you don't have access to Violet or, physical EX Ramiris or something. She can be a good just orb change and alt gauge support. But let's go ahead and put her on some other blue-focused teams that maybe could also require that same support. Alright, so next we're going to take and put her on another light team. Granted, it's a magic light team, but I think she can still make a difference here. So we've got Shuna, Milim, now Ramiris, who's going to take the spot of the other free-to-play Sokka, who obviously is better built for this meta, but if you don't have Sokka, then you started earlier and you don't have access to her, but you have Ramiris because you're playing now, then she can probably fit just fine here as well as an orb changer. Raphael and Lumi are going to be our primary damage dealers, and then Megamine is here because she will be able to help us do a little bit extra damage with the ult and still have a convert there. But turn 1 we can use Ramiris and we'll be just fine. So let's test her out here. Alright, this is a long fight. So turn 1 orb change. Go ahead and bring in Lumi for Ramiris. And then we'll bring in Megamine for Milim. That way Milim can stay in the back so we can take advantage of her orb converting if we have to. So 58, 68, and 200% orb does 1437. Okay, well, that is definitely a hand right there. We have 58 points, though, so we can do this. So we can bring Milim in for Raphael, and then convert those, and then we can convert the rest of them with Megamine, and then we're ready to go. We'll then swap Milim back out. I should have used the 2 stacks on Raphael first. That's a little bit of a whiff right there. But honestly, it's like, do we really need to sit here and watch this? Probably not. So we'll do this turn. We're going to go ahead and use the charm to make back some of that damage, or that ult gauge we didn't get for Raphael this next couple of turns, and then we'll probably just skip to the nuke. Yeah, how many points do we got? Can we do that? 152, so let's use the Valentine orb change. Oh, okay, we gotta use everything then. So 1 and 2. We can still use the charm, though. The blue gauges are already buffed by 10%, so that extra side effect on the charm isn't really doing anything, because, yeah, it doesn't stack like that. So let's bring Raphael in. That way we can actually get some ult gauge on him, and then we'll kind of showcase how that works. And then we'll move on to the nuke. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So it's only 15%, and because we only have one enemy here, if we had brought 2 units that could charm, we could only have them charmed 1 at a time, because again, it doesn't stack like that, but we don't, so we only have the 1. But there's the extra little bit of gauge. Lumi has an ult now, which is great. Now we can send her away after we get these final 2 stacks on her. And then we have the orbs for, Megamine orb change, and we're looking pretty good. So overall, like, does she fit the greatest? I mean, would I consider her better than Sokka in this, in this setting right here? Actually, probably, yeah, because sometimes I don't get an ult with, some other units, and guaranteeing that I at least get a little bit extra here and there actually makes it so I have 2 guaranteed ults, unless I get really unlucky, right? Because you can very easily get unlucky. So, let's go ahead and swap her out. And then we can use Megamine's orb change. We're going to charm again, because we got points for it, and we can just continue it going. So because we've charmed twice, we can see that in action right here, that it used to be 1 more turn, and now it's just 2 turns again. So it kind of just deletes the old one and refreshes it with a new one. It doesn't automatically make it 20% charm, or, well, 30% charm, technically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So Megamine and Raphael have ults now, which is good. And yeah, we'll watch the charm kind of come in and give us that extra little bit of ult gauge, and then we'll skip. And charm, and boom. Cool. I'll see you guys on turn 8. Alright, so the charm actually did its job. Now we have triple ults, right? Because we've got the Milim ult, and we've got the Raphael and Lumi ult. So everything that we have to do here is we just have to use the ult buff here, and then we should have enough points to use everything else. Should being the key word here, right? So 1 for Megamine, and 1 for Ramiris, and so we gotta use Lumi first, and then we gotta do these. Yep, look at that. We're all set. We've got every single buff active. We've got 2 more stacks to throw on, and then we can go ahead and send Milim first, and then Lumi second, and then Raphael third, and this should take care of it. So, actually, I think I would consider Ramiris in this event better than Soka, because while Soka does lower defense by a small amount and does extend the stun, we should have enough damage here to kill, especially with the full 6 send, without needing to extend the stun for another turn. So let's find out. Milim doesn't have like any stacks of the Shuna, but you know, so she's not going to do a lot. 58k, and she's an AoE. Lumi does 689k, and then Raphael. This will probably be the last segment of the video, honestly. Raphael ends up doing probably close to 1 million if Lumi did 600,000. Yeah, 976, almost 1 million. So yeah, we didn't need the second turn of stun, right? We needed extra ult gauge to ensure that we would have 3 ults on this final turn, which worked out very well. So actually, I'm pretty happy with Ramiris, because you have enough points to use the charm multiple times. This isn't like the Space 3.0 team where you could only use them like once. Maybe you could use Sufia twice because it's cheap. Here, we have points to spare. So you could always have the charm going, and you could always be getting a little bit extra ult gauge when you, like, if you need it. And we definitely did need it here. So I think she works out pretty well on a lot of stacking teams for people who don't have that, like, big damage support option available to them. Because we could have easily put the hero on here as well. We could have used a rewind, we could have used the crit. We could have put maybe Dark Lumi on here for the extra 80% ult damage. Like, there are other support options, but if you don't have those options available, then what Ramiris can do is at least help you guarantee that you can get more than just one ult. So I think she's pretty handy here. So, I think we're going to call the video with these two things, because she is just a free-to-play unit. You can put her really anywhere else on a blue team, so you could put her in the water event right here. You could put her in the wind event, technically, or the space event, and she would function the same way as what we just used her for the light team. So she has a lot of viability across multiple teams as long as they're blue focused, right? But overall, I would rate her actually pretty well for a free-to-play unit, because she's doing a lot for your team. So I'd give her an 8 for a free-to-play unit. I think that's fair. But let me know what you guys think of this new free-to-play Ramiris. But that's it from me. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you all later.